What's up, gang? Welcome back. We're out here trying to have a good time. I'm going to show you guys a fun little deck that I didn't really brew up. I just been kind of like net decking it and trying to adjust to my liking. I think post-ban list, there's a huge spot in the meta with Anga getting a little bit slower, having to like experiment a bit more with red base, trying out new rookies, or even using blue base a little bit more compared to like what they were using prior. Imperial becoming one of the best decks in the format, as well as Dextoru seeing a lot of play in the format. I think that there's a good niche that can be hit really well, which is like a uninteractive combo deck, especially with the ancient Gabumon list being killed. And so I've been testing a lot with Fenrir Takumi Kazuchi. So for those of you who don't know, this is essentially the successor to the old Fenrir Lugmon deck in a way. They're both combo decks that try to kill your opponent. However, I feel like the older Fenrir is a lot more interactive in what your opponent is able to do to interact with you and like try to stop you from accomplishing that. Whereas this one, even if you're at one memory, as long as you have the proper setup, you'll be able to get into your level 7, keep turn, and then do on average 4 checks, but you can do 5 checks, and then if you have an extra check for lethal. I've seen a couple people run the DNA Evos in the deck, so that way they can try and DNA Digivolve as a way to kill your opponent. I think that's really bad. You've actually a really hard time getting 2 level 4s on field consistently, as well as the fact that you have a really hard time, I feel like, making use of those extra bodies consistently, because sometimes you won't even get like the extra body because you're not spitting them out as much as you are in the other versions of the old Fenrir. This one I think is just purely optimized to make use of and do the combo as much as it possibly can. So we'll go over the card by card and then show you guys some gameplay. And then afterward the gameplay, I'll tell you guys about how I feel about the deck going into the current meta. I'm still a little bit fresh, so some of the gameplay you'll see me mess up a little bit as I was like trying to learn the proper lines and things like that. But let's get into it. First off, the level 2s. This is one of the most broken eggs, I think, of the game right now. Balmon, when a Digimon card with Dark Animal or SOC trait is trashed from your hand, you may Digivolve into that card. This is super, super good. This is literally the only reason that you're able to do your full combo from one memory. All you need is this Lugamon here, or this Lugamon, either one, with the Balmon underneath. You promote up, and then ideally you Digivolve into the Dorugamon here, or Dorugamon, sorry, not Doruga, Jesus, or the Dex here. Either one works. Effect, then you would pitch the Soluga using their pitch 1, draw 1 effect. Soluga effect, pitch this, and then either one of the pieces you're missing in the trash already or something else. Obviously you need an AG underneath the Lugamon when you're doing all of this as well in order to get the Fenrir Lugamon effect. But you go into the Solugar, pitch the Fenrir and something else. Balmon then triggers again, letting you Digivolve for 3 into Fenrir. Fenrir effect will play out the Kazuchi, and then Takumi Kazuchi effect from trash will let your DNA. Then you'll set your opponent to 3 memory, so even if they're at like 10 or 7, it doesn't matter, they'll go right back to 3. And then because you put Tamer in your inherited effects, you'll go ahead and gain memory going to 2, and because of the inheritable here, you'll keep turn. And that's like the idea of the combo, which you can do from 1 memory as long as you have the cards in hand. There was something I did here. I added a Skull Beluchimon, but I don't know where it's at now. Interesting. Anyways, there was a Skull Beluchimon in here because of Skull Beluchi's effect, which I'll just pull up the guy on the side so when we get to him. But yeah, the egg is super, super strong. We're playing 10 rookies, 4 of the names for Luga, and then the 2 of the Uka. The mono purple Luga is the best, obviously, because it lets you cheat out your AGs from trashing from hand, as well as getting a memory, which is super important. Not having to play out an AG is really nice for memory efficiency. Literally cheating out 4 memory, 3 for the AG or 4 from the AG, and then gaining a 1 off of the Lugamon effect is kind of disgustingly busted. But this one isn't bad either, especially if you're playing Skull Beluchi in your deck. You're going to be able to swing in, pitch a Skull Beluchi, and then Digivolve into a 4 in trash, which is really good if you're missing the 4s. We're also playing 2 of the Ukomons. We aren't playing any more than this just because we really don't want to draw them later on into the game, but we see it pretty early. It's not too bad. You can either hard play it or Digivolve in the back. Either one works. Just getting like an extra search feels pretty good. Then we're on 9 level 4s. Gotta do the math again real quick. 9 level 4s. We're on 4 of the Dorugoemon, just because this is the best one. It's just a pitch 1, draw 1, which synergizes exceptionally well with the deck. You don't play any of the typical bottom end that you would for the Fenrir Lugamon deck that you used to play in the past, just because these ones are so much more efficient when it comes to actually cycling through your deck. It also makes your opponents attack at the start of your main phase if they have a Tamer in the sources. It comes up every once in a while. It's not super useful in this deck, obviously. It's a lot better in the Dexter-Rugamon specific deck, but it still has like some utility. Same thing goes for the Dexter-Rugamon here. You can use the effect of this Luga to pitch here and then Digivolve into it from trash, getting the deletion effect, which is kind of cute. So you can pop 2 things using its when attacking effect, because it will Digivolve from trash technically using the Balmon. But otherwise, again, it's just a pitch 1, draw 1, which is good for cycling. You're very rarely getting the protection effects, but it can come up. I think I've had it come up like 1 or 2 games. And then the inheritables, I think, don't matter until we get to our Soul Lugars here, so I don't really feel super impactful talking about them. The Dorugamon can come up if your Takamigazuchi swings into security and ends up hitting a 16k, because you'll be 17k with the inheritable here, which is really nice. We are playing 6 level 5s. We've got 2 Haluga, just really good for cycling. Again, that's what the main portion of this deck is. We just try and find our combo as quickly and as efficiently as possible, while still being able to set up like a reasonable field and not kind of just like dirtling for 6 turns. It also allows you to have some kind of like interaction with your opponent and lets you set up your trash really easily, because you really do need the Takamigazuchi in trash when you play out the Kazuchimon from trash or hand. On to the best level 5. This one has the Digivolves for 3 on top of an SOC. When by trashing 2 cards in your hand, delete one of your opponent's 6k or lower DP Digimon, which is really important. There's a lot of floodgates that your opponent's going to try and stop you with, like Gatsu or Pillow. So being able to just pop those is super nice. And even if your opponent doesn't have anything to pop, you can use this guy as like a combo extender. So the idea is you go into Soul Lugar, you pitch some stuff, be it like a Tyrannomon, or if you have one in trash already, you don't need to like pitch an extra one. But this is the idea is if you don't find your Fenrir, you can play out a Tyranno again to search 4 deeper to try and find another copy of your Fenrirs, which is something that you do. You kind of have to understand a little bit in the deck of like when you need to push out and when you can kind of like hold for an extra turn to get like an extra draw or 2 in, which is really important. So I think it's like probably the most skill testing portion of this deck. On to level 6, we're playing 8 level 6s. We've got 4 Kazuchi. This card is not searchable, which is really unfortunate. But he is the most important card to find in that sense, so you can just kind of draw into him. We have a lot of ways of cycling and drawing though, so that feels really good. The ideal is hitting one on an analog and then just having him go to trash, which is peak, but if not, that's okay. His When Digivolving effect will never come up in this deck, but his end of turn has come up for me. I think in one of the games I'll be showing you, it's like one of my first games, and it's kind of a bricky hand. His end of turn is actually quite nice for just kind of stabilizing your field a little bit, and your opponent will have to get through your security to kill you, obviously. So as you're putting more cards in there, that's more cards that you can eventually hit into your trash, like your Kazuchis, like your Takamigazuchis, which feels pretty good. Moving on to your other level 6s. This Fenrir is completely different from the other Fenrir Luga, so they do not synergize with each other very well at all. But what this one does is you can play out a Fenrir or a Kazuchimon from your trash without paying the cost. At the end of your opponent's turn, return the Digimon to hand. So it's very similar to like the Galaxy stuff as well, in the fact that you get like a temporary value from getting the card out. So like if you play out this Kazuchimon, then you get to end of your turn, delete something with 6k, recovery 1, and you play out a second Fenrir, well, all turns effect. When one of your Digimon or Tamers that have the SOC trait or Pulsemon in its text is played, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 10k or less DP. So if you play out 2 Fenrirs, both of them will trigger, and you'll delete 2 10k Digimon, which is super good as a way of like clearing board if you don't have like a way to kill your opponent, or you don't have Takami Kazuchi. It's a nice way to kind of just like cycle back a Fenrir, because it'll also get bounced to hand again as well. And if you have a Kazuchimon in hand, you can just play it out next turn should you be able to set up the Takami Kazuchi in trash. But it also has the inheritable. Both of them have useful inheritables. This one, it says, all turns when a card is removed from your security stack, if this Digimon has Fenrir Lugumon on its name, whenever your opponent's Digimon gets minus 8k DP for the turn. Another great way to remove something. And then this one says, it has essentially the old Fenrir effect that just prevents your opponent from getting turn unless they have 3 or more memory, which is really, really important for the deck for actually trying to kill your opponent. And then finally, onto our last set of Digimon, we've got 3 level 7 Fenrir Lugumon Takami Kazuchi, which is just trash. Your turn, when one of your level 6 Digimon with Pulsemon in its text is played, 2 of your Digimon may DNA Digivolve into this card. So, it can only work if you hard play the Kazuchimon. Hard playing the Fenrir does not actually do it. And then when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 16k DP for the turn. And if DNA Digivolving, set the memory of your opponent's side, 2 and 3 on your opponent's side. Then if a Tamer is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, gain a memory and recovery 1. This allows you to do an extra check with the when attacking effect, which we'll get into in a second, but also allows you to keep turn because you'll be at 2 memory if you have the Fenrir underneath, preventing them from actually taking turn from you. Then finally is another effect. When attacking by trashing the top card of your security stack, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack as well. So, the idea is, with the Inheritable of Soul Lugar, because we're at 2 memory now, at the end of attack, if your opponent has 1 or more memory, unsuspend this Digimon. We Digivolve into the Fenrir, play out the Kazuchi, DNA Digivolve into the Fenrir, gain, put your opponent to 3 memory, gain a memory because of an AG underneath, putting them to 2, and then recovering 1. Because we DNA Digivolved, even if we just played out the whole line here, we can attack this turn, which is really strong. We swing in, we will trash top card for security. Throughout the course of this, we deleted 10k, we're now deleting an 8k, or giving something 8k minus 8k DP, and gave something else minus 16k DP. So it's essentially a board wipe. We'll do 2 checks. If the Soul Lugar was able to play something else, we can alliance for 3 checks. Then we will unsuspend, swing it again. The one attacking effect is not once per turn, so we can trash another card, they will trash 1, putting them to 0 checks there. We would need an extra body to kill, or if they're at 4 security, they do die. If we have an extra, we just have the alliance body in play. So it can kill you quite quickly if you're not careful. And just as a heads up, your opponent can do this on turn 2, by the way, if they have the blue gun in the back and they just have the cards in hand. Even putting them to 1 doesn't matter. So the idea would be, I do a Luga in the back, and then I play out like an analog, do some searching, whatever. You put me to 1 memory, I promote. Luga effect triggers, I place an AG either from the middle of the analog or just from hand underneath. Then I would Digivolve for 2 into the Doruga, putting you to 1 memory. Effect of the Doruga, pitching Soul Lugar, drawing a card. So Baumon effect would trigger, Digivolving into Soul Lugar for 3, putting you to 4 memory. Effect of the Soul Lugar, pitching Fenrir Tyranno. Soul Lugar, play the Tyranno, I search a couple extra cards, set up a bit better. Baumon effect triggers, Digivolve into the Fenrir for 3, putting you to 7 memory. Fenrir Lugumon effect, play out the Kazuchimon that I pitched off of like the Tyranno effect, I guess. Great. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Kazuchimon is played. The Takami Kazuchi that we milled off the analog is now live. We DNA Digivolve. We set you from 7 memory down to 3 memory, and then we gain a memory going to 2, and then we can swing in for 3 checks and then 2 checks, putting you to 0, putting us to 4 security because we did gain 1 off the recovery. Any Digimon you had on field are deleted, and now you're at 0 memory with our level 7 on field. And that can happen as early as turn 2 if we just have the nuts. We're playing 3 Cracker Fang and 2 AG. You don't want to see too many of either of these. You only really want to see one Cracker Fang, but you do want to see one of these more than often than you want to see one of the regular AGs. But you don't want to see too many of these just because they're kind of bricky. You're looking for your combo pieces in this combo deck, obviously. For analogs, though, super good for setting up trash and super good for setting up the pieces you need in hand. This card needs to be banned. 2 of the Demon Wolf of the Castle of 9 Wolves. Fuck. Again, it's very similar. It's just setting up your trash for you, and then you can play out from your trash one of your SOC trait cards with a cost reduced by 2. Can help you get into, just like, say you have 5 memory, go straight into your Soul Lugar, attach an AG underneath Digivolve into Fenrir, and that'll just do it. Or have any part of the line depending on how much memory you have, which is super cool. And then 3 of the Wisdom Trainings, they do what Wisdom Trainings do. Sculpoluchimon is an interesting tech choice because it says when you never Digivolve into this basically, but whenever one of your effects trashes this card in your hand, if it's your turn, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a purple Digimon card with undead or dark animal in its trace from your trash for its Digivolution cost. So this is essentially kind of like Balmon, but it lets you Digivolve from trash rather than having to like force you to like do the pitching effects to actually go into it. So you can just pitch this and then Digivolve into any of your guys from trash, which is super nice. And I definitely want to fit it in because it's a wonderful recursion. I'm just not sure what I would realistically take out for that. I know I took something out earlier. I think it may have been Dex Doruga. Bucket Weeball. Weeball. That's what we'll go with. And then, yeah, I'll see you guys in the games. I think I'm going to do 3. Okay, gang. Couple things. First and foremost, I recorded almost all 3 of the gameplay reactions before realizing that my mic was muted. I had to double check again real quick. Great, I couldn't handle it. But secondly, got myself a nice drink from a lovely place called Dutch Bros. There's a nice hot cocoa. I love me some hot chocolate. It's a little warm for hot chocolate, but that's okay. I like the flavor nonetheless. There was a fly in it. It got in my mouth. I am hurt and I am suffering. I'm a victim. The pain that I'm going through right now. It's okay. I've recovered. Just know that through the course of making this singular video, I think I've suffered more than making any other video. So if you appreciate the effort that I'm going through for this, please leave a like, subscribe. We'll get into it. My opponent, I started recording a little bit late on this one. It's okay. You just saw their turn too. They started off by promoting their Uko. They got a search. They're on red base Ancient Garurumon. We will be enhancing the speed of this just a tad, 2 times speed. Opponent does think a little bit here. They'll play out a Koji. We'll promote a Luga. No AGs, unfortunately. They did hit 1 insecurity though, which feels good. Digivolve for 2 into Doruga. Doruga pitched the Kazuchi. We do end up having to use the Wisdom Training, unfortunately. We do find the Takami Kazuchi, which is nice, but we're now just missing the Fenrir for the full combo. We're trying to find the most optimal way to actually deal with our opponent's bodies. We make a small misplay here. It was much better to actually just swing in the Luga to the Ukamon and not do a check yet for fear of hitting a Tamer. We do end up hitting one anyways. This does, though, set up should we find a Fenrir in the upcoming turns to actually kill our opponent. We do hit a Tyrannomon, which is super good for our Soul Lugar because we can get a little bit extra searching. Still no Fenrir, but our level 5 is pretty much unbounceable aside from like some kind of like crazy option card or play from our opponent. But like surely they're not gonna like Crimson Blaze us into doing something really scary, like just hard playing the guy for 6. Opponent gets to search off the Uko. No rookie in the back yet. Rookie in the back now. Our opponent is thinking through the line. Again, as long as it's not Crimson Blaze into hard play, Enga, we're in a really good, and that's Crimson Blaze. Okay. Fantastic. Surely they're not going to hard play the Enga for 6 though, right? Like, I know this is pre-recorded and everything, but surely they're not going to hard play the Enga for 6. Clearing our board, leaving us with Lethal on board, and oh, okay. Well, right? And that security wasn't useful. And he would have drawn the Fenrir off of that, so that would have been, we would have been able to kill them. And even now, we can do some crazy stuff. But unfortunately, because of the fact that we are under the effects of Crimson Blaze, we still cannot kill our opponent. If it wasn't for Crimson Blaze, we could just hard play the Soul Lugar, attach the AG, Digivolve for 3 into the Fenrir. Fenrir effect, play out the Kazuchi from trash, go under the Takumi Kazuchi. Under the effects of Crimson Blaze, however, we will not be able to play out anything, so we have to try and find a way to prevent them from actually being able to kill me on the crackback. We got rid of one of their checks, meaning they now only have 3 visible checks on field right now, which is super good. They will be at 3 memory minimum, however, so there's not much I can do about that. We have no extra level 4s, which is super unfortunate. We really don't want to waste our level 5 by digivolving there, just because we're almost certain our opponent will be able to remove it on the crackback. We're thinking about just hard playing the AG. I think that's what we end up deciding on doing. Even though our opponent will go to 3 and it's not very memory efficient, it's fine. We'll be able to gain 2 memory off the AGs pretty easily. Our opponent being at 3, the Anga will check twice because of its just all your turn effect, and then they have the 1 from the rookie, putting us 0 security. Nothing we can do about that. We are missing a level 4 now, though, so if they do out this level 4, we are in quite the predicament. But even worse, if we had gone into a level 5, played out a level 4, they had been able to out both, we were screwed from that portion. We were like all in on that level 5 had we done that. They do hit another Cracker Fang, which isn't super useful, and they do bounce their Fenrir to hand, which is a lot more useful. It gives us more replayability of being able to get out multiple Fenrirs in a turn, or even going Fenrir into Fenrir turn after turn, which is super nice. Unfortunately, I don't think it matters too much. They do end up playing Gatsu for 3. They don't have a guy in hand to actually make use of their tamers right now. So Gatsumon is going to try and prevent me from being able to do the line appropriately. AG, Cracker Fang will submit 3. Both of the AGs will trigger, and then the Lugamon will trigger. We will go ahead and get the Cracker Fang from trash, putting us to 6. We do have Lethal on board with the Alliance check. Going into Soul Lugar for 3, no reason to use the Wisdom Trimming at the moment. We'll go ahead and pitch 2. Pitching the Fenrir as a priority, though we can't trigger off the Babylon, we just have so many in hand that we can be a little bit less frugal with them. Go ahead, do the whole shenanigans of Fenrir playing Kazuchi. Kazuchi on play will trigger the Takumi Kazuchi in trash. Takumi Kazuchi will DNA. We'll go ahead and wipe their whole board pretty much, which feels fantastic. They'll get out a mat. We'll go ahead and swing in security. Alliance. Get in a trash effect for them. Do 1 check. 2 check. Hammer Spark. Okay. We passed turn. As long as we took out the blocker. Okay. Not ideal. I won't lie to you, not ideal. But surely, my opponent was bricked. The prior turn, 1 or 2 extra draws isn't enough to completely unbrick them, even with the option card. They go into an Anga because they have the purple tamer in hand, allowing them to actually trigger the effect. The Fenrir will trigger, giving it minus 8k. It doesn't matter though. They will be able to activate the Anga to add back one of their hybrids, as well as the mat will trigger, putting them to 1, letting them keep turn. Devastating. And just to clarify as well, had we put them at 1 less memory, we were in a fantastic spot. But unfortunately, we could not choose exactly what was going to happen with our opponent. So it does put them back to 0. Let's see if they can out the Takumi Kazuchi with 0 memory. They go Ancient option effect, add back the Anga. They will now Digicross using both of the bodies in hand, bouncing back the Takumi Kazuchi, playing out an extra Anga. They now have 2 checks on board, and we have 0 security. Digivolving the back is useless, so we will Digivolve for 3. We can promote We can go AG underneath, activate Wisdom, Digivolve for 1 here, but we're missing a level 5, and we do not have Balmon, so there's no way for us to actually get into the Fenrir without that level 5 in hand, or just a regular Dorugamon for searching. Unfortunately, that Hammer Spark did cost us game. Hitting that 1-of in that crucial time was devastating. But what can you do? Moving on to the next. Okay, so we've seen a normal game for the deck. Let's see one of their brickier hands. Okay, our opening hand's a little bricky. We have like a searcher with the Tyrannomon there, but honestly, I think I would mulligan this hand every time, even understanding that I could get a worse hand with this. I think this is below a 40% this is below a top 60 percentile hand, meaning that there are 60% of the hands I could draw are better than what this is here. So I will mulligan this every single time. And then we draw a like bottom like 80 percentile hand, real rough. 80, if I have 100 hands, 79 of them are better than this guy right here, but that's okay. We end up playing the Cracker Fang for 4. They go Uko into their own memory setter. We get set to 3 anyways. We draw their Soul Lugar. We are rough. That's okay though. We're just gonna go ahead and double AG. Surely, if our opponent plays out a Digimon and keeps the Ukomon on field, or just keeps the Digimon on field, period, we will be able to go ahead and go to straight to 5. And luckily enough, our opponent is on a very aggressive deck, so our slow start surely isn't going to punish us in the slightest. They end up getting search, adding an Emperor, going to a rookie in the back, getting a swing in, getting the effect of the Yokomon to draw, going into Burning Gray, checking, hitting a Wisdom, gaining 2 memory off of the Inherited of the Tamer that is now underneath the Burning Gray, playing out another rookie to search, adding the same rookie they just used to search. And they're going to go and play it out, right back out, adding another exact same rookie. They are just cycling. They are going so up on card advantage right now, as well as they now have 4 checks on field. We have to do something to actually be able to interact with them. Luckily, our opponent puts exactly to 3, so that means hard playing the Kazuchimon, putting them to 7, allows us to hit both of the end of turn effects, getting us a recovery 1 and deletion of something they own for minus 6k DP. Hitting another Cracker Fang doesn't do much for us here, but nonetheless, can't hate it. Hitting Kazuchimon and then hitting a Dex Doruga. Okay, our opponent plays out the rookie they added to hand, adding the Goonie, no longer doing that endless conga line of assholes. That is fine. Playing out another of the searchers. I think it's their 4th one that they have so far. Playing out Aitakuya finally to pass turn, putting us to 1 security, as well as 5 memory with the AGs. We finally hit a rookie, still no level 4s to actually go into. From this position, we are considering going into the Takemi Kazuchi for 6, putting our opponent to 1. And that will let us clear 2 bodies, but they will still have 2 checks on field, which is a little scary. They have a Gravity Crush. So we decide to instead elect to clear the same amount of bodies, but gain a security back instead. We will put our opponent to a lot more memory, however. End of turn, Kazuchimon will gain me a security. They'll gain a memory off of their Takuya. Hard play, another searching rookie. They are seeing their entire deck and being able to sculpt their hand as they please. No rookie in the back though still. Hitting an analog and finally seeing a level 4. They will go ahead, swing into security, do the last check. But no blitz on the in hand, electing instead to raid into our Fenrir. Using the effect to Digivolve into Alda. They do have piercing, so they'll be able to do the check anyways, but that's okay. They'll hit 16k DP, beating over our Fenrir, though they will still die to the 16k DP in our security stack. Let's see what our opponent can actually do coming up here. Just want to double check again that my mic was unmuted. Okay, I was gonna tilt if it was still muted. They go 2 memory and 2 memory into both the Goonimons, meaning that if we should delete them, they'll be able to get huge pluses off of it. No AG to get off of the good Luga effect, but that's okay. We still go to 5. We'll go ahead and Mind Link. That was a bit of a misplay. We should have Mind Linked the Cracker Fangs because they're less valuable. We're probably going to be leaving them in this Digimon here at the end of turn, unless we can kill our opponent, which from this position I don't see a way to actually do so. Okay, we'll go ahead and Wisdom Training. Digivolve into Doruga. pitching the Takamikazuchi. We will make one of them attack. Both of them will be gone, hopefully by the end of this turn anyway, so that doesn't matter. We will go ahead and go into Dex, go into Soul Effect. We draw the Fenrir, so now we'll be able to pitch this Luga and this Fenrir to delete one of their guys. Unfortunately, we really would have liked being able to play something out, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and play out another Kazuchi. We'll go ahead and DNA Digivolve, deleting something with 10k or less. They'll go ahead and get their effects now, getting a Takuya, getting a Flamon from hand, but they obviously don't have one because they've played out like 7 of them, so you know, it is what it is. Takamikazuchi will go ahead and place us back to 2. We have no more things to DNA Digivolve with, so we won't be DNA Digivolving. Their other effects will trigger, but they don't have anything else in hand to actually make use of. We will go ahead and swing into security. We will make use of the alliance effect, since there's no real point of swinging at Takamikazuchi and risk its life, because he's so good at recovering us. We will trash the security, saying, fuck it, we don't need it. Go ahead, unsuspend, put our opponent to. We do hit Takuya, though, which is a little scary. That's okay. Our opponent's now at 2 memory. We can play out the Luga, put them to 5, gain a memory off the Luga effect, give something minus 6k DP, and then we will not detach the AG, letting our guy still have blocker. They will Digivolve for 2 into Burning Group at plus 2k, going to 10, but they still cannot get past our 17k DP blockers, so they're going to have to use a little bit more memory to actually be able to go through with that. The Alderman will trigger, they now can, but we probably still won't. They don't have piercing, they will instead elect to go into Emperor. Emperor will delete our guy, we'll get an analog effect, but realistically, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. This is where the misplay ended up coming into play. If we had put a Cracker Fang underneath here, underneath the guy instead of the regular AG, we would actually be at an extra memory, and then we're at right now, putting us to 6 instead of just 5, but that's okay. Live and learn. We'll go ahead and activate the analog effect. We will hit a level 4, though it's not an ideal one for what we're actually looking for. We're also still missing another Fenrir, so we won't be able to make use of that. Our opponent is sitting on potential 2 checks, but recovering 1 doesn't necessarily save us, so setting up a blocker is a lot more ideal. Trying to figure out the best way to do it. Instead of using the Digivolve here, we're just going to go ahead and play out the option card, seeing as the fact that our opponent's going to 3 anyways. We're electing that 1 extra memory. Probably won't matter. We're going to go ahead and pitch another Cracker Fang. Play out the Tyrannomon effect. Yikes! We do end up seeing 3 of our level 4s and the other Fenrir that we really want. We need both of these in some capacity, realistically. So we're going to elect to add the Dorugamon instead, as it will let us cycle through the deck. And hopefully we'll see our final copy of Fenrir throughout the deck quicker than, I think, 1 or 2 copies of the level 4s. Opponent's now at 4 memory. With an Emperor in play, we have 2 security and 2 blockers. Let's see what they can do. They will swing in. We will go ahead and elect to block with the Tyrannomon. It will obviously get deleted, but since they do not have piercing, they will not be doing their checks. They will Digivolve for 2 into a Gunimon. I cannot imagine will be getting his effect here, so we will see how they go about it. They Digivolve for 1 into Alda. Aldemon effect will give it plus 4k DP. Then they will play out the option for 2, recovering back the Burning Greymon. Electing to hard play the Ancient Greymon for 4, putting us to 3, deleting a Lugamon, electing to go with quantity rather than quality. I think this is a big misplay for my opponent. I think realistically they should have swung with the Alda to at least attempt to do a couple extra checks and gain a couple extra memory. We would have obviously attempted to block the Luga. They would have got the deletion anyways, and then they could have deleted the Kazuchimon off of the Anga effect, leaving us on 0 bodies, just a Lugamon, and realistically no way to continue stalling. We'll activate the option card. A pretty big misplay on my part, honestly, because I am now realizing that if I just hard play the Fenrir, it does not actually trigger the Takamikazuchi in the way that I thought it would have, which is rough, as well as it won't even have the AG underneath it, so even if it did trigger it, it wouldn't actually let us keep turn. So, the best play here would have been playing out the Tyranno, actually, to look for the Fenrir. But we didn't elect to do that. We'll go ahead and delete their Aldemon using the effect, using the Takamikazuchi. Oh, it does actually trigger the Takamikazuchi, but we still don't have an AG underneath, so we won't be able to keep turn anyways. We will then go ahead and give my 16k DP to the Emperor, and then we will go ahead and recover a couple memory. From this position, however, we're in a bit of a rough spot. We've kind of thrown the game a little bit. If our opponent has anything, we are losing, and it's looking like our opponent has something, just based off the fact they have the Takuya that lets you play with the Emperor. So they will end up deleting the Kazuchimon. We will, though, be able to Analog Youth, saving us from being killed. Analog will trigger twice, letting us steal turn from our opponent. We will then get set to 3, and then we will gain 1, going to 4. We are now missing a single Digimon to actually make use of what we need to. From here, it was better to go Analog for 2, swing in, get an extra draw, so that we can see as many cards in our deck as possible to make sure that we end up hitting the Fenrir. But that's okay. It ends up working out in the end. Anyways, we'll go ahead and trigger the effect to make their Emperor swing at the start of their turn. Digivolve for 3. We will start attempting to pass turn, but we will be able to get the Tyrannomon effect to search, find the Fenrir, Tyrannomon effect, pitch the Fenrir, Digivolve using the Baumon effect, go into the Fenrir, Fenrir effect, play out the Kazuchi, which will trigger the Takamikazuchi. Takamikazuchi will DNA using these two bodies. We will delete something on their field. We'll just delete the Emperor. Either one will be playing out something. It's just the Anga, or the Anger will be able to draw, get back a card from trash, whereas this one will just be able to get them a Tamer out. Anyways. At least this is what I think. No other things to DNA Digivolve. We will swing in. We will not use the Alliance effect. We will use the Trashing effect to pop one of their guys, one of their security. We'll give minus 8k, which doesn't actually matter. Do an extra check. We will hit the option card, but it doesn't matter. And then we will go ahead and unsuspend and then swing for game. Whew. That was a close one. Don't get me wrong. I'll let it go through so you guys can see I won. Maybe my opponent has a level 7 Crimson mode. Who knows? But obviously, it was a bit of a misplay here. We should have done the swinging effect of the Luga before doing anything else. Because we would have seen an extra draw, which is super, super important when you're looking for that vital last key piece. Secondly, we should have thought more on the option here. Just choosing to use it immediately when we were at 5 memory. There were a lot of other things we could have actually begun to do. Like, we could have seen the Fenrir a turn earlier. We saw it in the top 2 cards of the Tyrannomon, so we would have seen it this turn, and we would have been able to kill our opponent this turn rather than giving them something on the crackback to be able to interact with. So that's on us, but nonetheless, I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, so we've seen us brick and still win. We've seen us play a bit more of an average game and get a little bit unlucky. We still saw the combo pretty quickly. Let's see, though, again, where we just hit the nuts. This opening hand here is a bit rough. Obviously, having Wisdom and the 1-cost Uko feels a little bad. We'd obviously rather see one of our other Lugamons in this spot, but that's okay. We're just going to mulligan this hand, and surely we'll get something a little bit better. Let's see what we end up choosing to do. Honestly, this is the part that takes the longest of the video. Ooh, no, what the fuck? Speed, please. Thank you to 2. We do end up getting the Uko again, so we just use that to pass turn. Pretty decent turn 1. Nothing too crazy, though. Obviously, we're sacrificing a little bit of tempo for this, but it's fine. We will go ahead and promote said Uko. We do hit an analog. No Luga yet, but with the analog, we can try hitting one more time. Let's see if we do hit it. We do hit a Luga and a Kazuchi. Setting that up in trash is quite nice. We do draw another Kazuchi, though, so it doesn't matter as much. We'll go ahead and play out a Cracker Fang. This is really nice because we do have an extra AG in hand. If that was the good Luga, we'd be put to 4, though. We are now just going to be set to 3. 3 is good enough as long as we do hit the Takamikazuchi and the Fenrir. We do have full combo. Our opponent swings in, hits the Fenrir, not as useful to us if we don't see a Scopalucci though, and then hits the Talking Mikazuchi. Now we are just missing the Fenrir, which we do have a good amount of draws in searching to find, especially if our opponent does not get rid of this Uko. They do play out a rookie, do another couple searching. This is blue base Anga, so this is what some people are thinking is the current best version. Cracker thinks this is a 3. We promote. Our opponent bomb decks their 1 of Hammer Spark, and we do get a Fenrir off the top. We do not only have full combo, but we actually do have lethal from here, as long as we can get rid of exactly this rookie. We're going to Mind Link into the Luga here. We have a couple different options the way that we want to answer it. We do elect to go with the Lugamon effect instead of the Dex Dorugamon effect. We will go ahead and swing, get an extra draw off of it, go into the Dorugamon. We'll pitch the Dorugamon, use the effect of Balmon, go into Dorugamon. For 2, Dorugamon effect, we will go ahead and pitch the Soul Lugamon to draw a card. Effect of the Balmon, go into the Soul Lugamon for 3. Use the effect of the Soul Lugamon. Because there are now no bodies on field, we need it. We checked our trash there for one specific reason. It's because we need an extra level 4 or lower SOC in trash in order to play out. So we will end up pitching the Dorugamon and the Fenrir here. We'll go ahead and play out the Dorugamon. We have the draw effect available to us. We choose not to use it yet because we don't really need to. We will instead go into the Fenrir. Fenrir effect will not trigger. We'll go ahead and play out the Kazuchi in the trash. Then we will go ahead and elect to DNA Digivolve, which will stop the attack because now it is a different Digimon. We'll go ahead and DNA Digivolve into Fenrir, Lugamon, Takamikazuchi. We will go ahead and get the draw and the pitch, gain a memory, go to 2. Keep turn Digivolve on the back to the Lugamon, though that is just superfluous at this point. We will go ahead and swing into security. We will use the effective lines to use the Dorugamon that we just played, leaving the Ukomon up, so that way it can still swing, or we can use it for another alliance check. We will also use the effective trash to top card both the securities. We'll go ahead and get in for 3 checks total, unsuspend since our opponent has their memory this turn, memory on their side this turn. We'll go ahead and swing in. We will not use the effect of the alliance, but we will use the effect of trash, doing an extra 2 checks, and then swing in for game with the Ukomon. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy that your deck can just do that. You can just high roll into that. It's kind of annoying, but you know, I think it's sick. I think it's cool. I think it's definitely really, really sick and awesome and cool. Okay, well, what do I think about the deck? Pros and cons here. Pros. 1, it's a very unique deck in the format right now that cares a lot about its trash, whereas previous formats there was a lot of decks that really care about the trash, so there's a lot of trash hate going around. Right now there's not much of that. No one's playing like the Uber Gatomon anymore or things like that to try and really stymie what you want to do, which is super good. Second pro is the fact that this deck is super like solitaire, which is fantastic for I think the current format that we're in. A lot of the decks that are tier 1 are very interactive with what your opponent's trying to do, and so as little interaction you can give your opponent, the better you will be at surviving. So if you're not putting out bodies that you really need to stick with, like, so that way your opponent can Ancient Garurumon, bounce them to hand, or strip them and like swing over them with Piercing for Imperial, or even making use of like Dragon Mode effects, or like suspending and bottom decking your guys, or Dorugamon. The next Dorugamon deck really needs you to have bodies on field so that way they can get the free evos when they collision or whenever they get the effects going from there. So being able to keep those bodies off the field is like super important for that matchup, which luckily you're able to do with how many searchers you're able to play, or just how many setup cards you're able to use. And realistically, when you're pushing out, you're not really using it as like a means of gaining value. You're either using it for like Hell Lugar for like removal, or you're going to try and go into full combo. Like those are the 2 main times you're ever like leaving a body on field. The only other times is like maybe you're trying to get like a little bit of extra value out of like Ukomon, or you're bricked. You're bricked and you're dying. Those are the best ways. Another pro is the fact that you can kill from 4 security every single time. Or almost every single time if you get a body off the Soul Lugar, obviously. And if you have a body on field already, you can kill from 5, which is disgusting. Disgusting! Being able to kill from 5 memory with a single body on field, rough. It's really, really rough for your opponent to deal with. The cons, though. These ratios suck ass. But there's nothing you can do about that. Because you're playing a combo-centric deck, you have to see a lot of your pieces. So you're playing searching cards, you're playing cards that are helping you set up, because your pieces have to be in different areas. You need this card in trash. You can have this card in hand, but he needs to get in trash at some point. Realistically, you need this card in hand, you need this card in hand, you need this card in hand. This is the only card that lets you get around one of these 3 cards needing to be in hand. You don't really need a Lugamon, but obviously getting this Lugamon out early is insane because you get to cheat out one of your tamers. If you don't see an AG, you can't keep turns to actually attempt to kill your opponent. Like, there's a whole host of things that make the deck suffer from brickiness. Second problem, you're so telegraphed. It's so easy to be like, fuck, he's got a Takumi Kazuchi and a Kazuchimon in trash. If he's got the line, I'm dead next turn, I need to like Crimson Blaze him right now, or play out double Gatsu, or double Pillow, or maybe bottom deck the Takumi Kazuchi even, or do something, or try to interact in some way. Hell, if your opponent's able to set up 4 level 5s, and they have an ace in hand, you can't do anything about that. If they have 4 7k level 5s on field, your combo will not delete all of them. You will only delete 3 of them. 1 from the Inheritable here, 1 from the Fenrir, and 1 from the Takumi Kazuchi. And there's nothing you could do about that. You will end up getting aced there. Which isn't bad. If your opponent set up 4 level 5s and that was like their shtick, that's it, they did that, and they're like, go. Killing 3 of them and then getting aced isn't horrible. It's not the worst thing that could have happened to you. Sculptaluchimon is a con. It's a pro in the fact that it's able to get your guys out, but this card literally is just a unplayable option card in hand that says, hey, choose a card to Digivolve in trash whenever you go and do your stuff, which is super, super good for the deck, but gosh, is it just a brick magnet. When you need to see him the most, you will never see him, and when you don't need to see him at all, you will have him in your opener every single time, and it is devastating. You also want to play more of like Demon of Nine Wolves. You want to play the Wisdom Training. You want to play a little more of the AGs, like maybe trading out the Cracker Fang for another AG for like memory value and stuff like that. Getting out an extra Tyrannomon more consistently feels fantastic. But again, the deck list is so tight. It's so very tight that I don't think you can justify switching up at all. Anything. And even these ratios, I'm not fully sold on anyways. Like having only 8 level 4s and then 7 level 5s, 8 level 6s, which I would never cut a Kazuchimon, but god do I want to cut a Kazuchimon, because this guy is awful in hand. He's again just there for the combo. Once you get 1 rotation, you don't need more than 1. Sometimes like you need 1 just like hard play if you have a Fenrir on field but no other guy. So just being able to hard play this feels pretty good. But I mean, goodness gracious. The end of turn is really nice, but I mean, only minus 6k DP or recovery 1 typically is so sad. Over Arcane Link though, if you just don't brick, this is, in my opinion, the best dog-centric deck in the format. And if I'm being so brave, I would even go as far to say the best non-dog-centric deck in the format right now. I know, a bit blasphemous, don't get me wrong, okay? As a dog-centric channel with all of my dog-centric decks that we've had so far, I think this is probably the best one for the current format. And yeah, I'm excited to see any adjustments people make to the lists, or if any cards that maybe just fucking would wow and knock my socks off that I didn't think about adding in here. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. I suffered to make this video. Keep that in mind. Never forget, I suffered to make this video. Thank you.